Alrighty folks, welcome back to Gaming Wisconsinbly. Today I'm just going to bring you an easy playthrough of a very easy game, Felix the Cat on NES. We go ahead and press start, and we'll get rolling here. And I have the whole animal brigade down here today. I'm not sure why. Like this cat, you probably haven't really seen him before. I don't know, he's just cuddly today. Don't know why. My dog's over there sniffing something. My other cat would probably harass the hell out of me in 2 seconds. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring a quick playthrough of a game that I received I guess I received it maybe at the end of last year. Oops, I'm playing like shit. But it's one of the more simpler, enjoyable playthroughs that you can find on NES. Nothing too hard. Oh, is that a little secret? Sometimes you can do like random things in this game. Alright, so you can punch the cloud with the face in it. And then, if you get enough of those little milk things, or not milk things, little Felix symbols, it'll drop a new power-up for you. So, what he does, he basically has this magical bag that he pulls new power-ups out of. And some of the power-ups are unique, and the power-ups also kind of act as health. So if I get here, I'm going to downgrade to this. Just right on cue. But, you get upgrades, oops, pretty quickly in this game. Well, you see, there it is again. So yeah, pretty simple. This game has okay music. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's acceptable. Oops. Yeah, find a way to go here. Every level has this little bag in it, where if you go in there, it's this little secret thing. You basically just, you get a power up. You can fill up on milk sometimes. I guess not right now. And the milk and everything gives you, you motherfucker. I was gonna say, the milk gives you a lot of 1-ups, and you'll end this game with like a million 1-ups. And something else to note too, so you see on the top left side, there's these little hearts up there. What happens if you run out of the hearts, that I think you downgrade to the lower power-up or whatever. But that never really comes into play unless you're going extremely slow. Or if you're just derping like I am. So I haven't played this game in a little bit, but it's not like it's very difficult. Some of these like levels might remind you a little bit of Mario. Like this one kind of reminds me of Mario 3 a little bit. But, oh shit, missed a power-up. Oh well. But it really plays not a whole lot like Mario 3. It's like Mario 3 if it were incredibly easy. Like this part totally looks like Mario. It looks like the fish parts from Mario 2. So I'm gonna go... Jesus. I'm gonna go in here, get some power-ups, and we're good to go. So hopefully I'll be able to max out this power-up here. Different... like levels, there's a bunch of different stages in the game, just like Mario. I mean, there's like World 1, World 2, and so on and so forth until 8. This is kind of the same way. It's not a whole lot different. The tank, I think, is the max up power up right now for this particular world. So you can't jump on enemies, unfortunately. That's what happens when you try. Jesus. So what you like to do is get more power-ups before the bosses, but, you know, what are you gonna do? I find that I play worse when I'm talking, so just whatever at this point. Yeah, so there wasn't really anything major I wanted to talk about today, but I will talk about just some collecting stuff, I guess. Because that's really what I've been spending a lot of my time on recently. And it kind of goes in waves, so I mean, there'll be months where I don't collect a single thing, when it's real slow. And then there's months where it's just like, man, you're running out of money because you can't stop spending. And, man, this month I've had so much Super Nintendo. Which is crazy, because, I mean, it goes in waves, too. So, like, some months I'll just be grabbing a lot of extra Nintendo. Some months it's Super Nintendo, and some months it's 64. And this last month has been nothing but Super Nintendo and 64. Not a lot in between. So there hasn't been any like rare consoles or anything like that. Not a whole lot else going on. But I mean, for motherfucker tree. Yeah, for like Super Nintendo, I literally have like 2 complete sets of basically every game that you'd want on it right now. Like all the Mario games, Donkey Kong 1 and 2, just like all that good shit. Mario Kart, like Link to the Past, just so many extras. And I don't usually like to hoard, so usually if I get extra stuff, like I want to get rid of it right away. Because I see a lot of people that hoard stuff and they have like 20 consoles to get rid of, and like you'll see people post on Craigslist and it's like, I have like 6 extra Nintendo 64s, like I'm trying to sell them. Like, well, no one wants to buy fucking 6 64s. Like, I won't even buy 6 64s. They're always like without controllers or hookups too. Like, what the hell's the point? Like, why would you bother picking those up? But that was the first boss. I mean, as you can see, it's not rocket science, the video game. I do have a beer today. It's Nuclearis Keeper Movin'. It's supposed to be a light lager. I don't know if I've had this. I just found it in my fridge, so... Hoping no enemies come over here. There's an enemy. I don't think it's gonna hit me though. Oh, what can you say? It's a light lager. Alright, so here's the airplane stage. So, I think I'm throwing pies or frisbees. I'm not quite sure. But most of these stages, I mean, you can just skip most of the shit in these stages. Just like hang low. I mean, there's a little pyramid here and there. But like, it's not too dangerous. I have 4 extra lives right now, which doesn't seem like much, but eh. Sometimes you just keep them going for a while. You don't need to kill stuff. You just kind of skip most of the stages. This is again where another Mario comparison comes in. Like, is this not World 2 of Mario 3? So obviously this was released, I believe, later in Mario. I think this is a 1992 game where Mario is... I don't know when Mario 3 came out, but it was definitely earlier, 92. I have an airplane. But yeah, you'll see a lot of similarities in the stage design, so... Oops, I accidentally paused it. Surprisingly, this game is actually kind of long. It goes on for a lot longer than you'd think. So you're like playing this game and it's, you know, like half an hour hits and it's really easy and you're just sitting there like, does the game have an ending? And yeah, I mean, obviously it does. But way longer than you'd think it would be. So like right here is just another bag. I don't need any more power-ups, but I'm sure there's extra lives I can get. Yep, there's one right there. I don't know if this will get me out the same hole. No, a little stage skip. There's another one up. So yeah, this is one of those games that anyone can beat. So if you're looking for that easy NES game, and you look at your library and you see some stuff, like, for example, I did a Barbie episode a while back now, but that's a game where you look at the cover art and you think like, oh, that's going to be like a ridiculously easy game. Like, you know, I'll beat it in 5 minutes, no problem. Barbie's actually kind of hard. You know, Felix the Cat, not so much. You look at some other games. None come to mind. Well, like Jurassic Park, for example, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's probably pretty easy, but man, I remember Jurassic Park being like super long. I haven't played that for a long time. The Sega Genesis version's actually pretty short, but it's hard as fuck, so like what should be a 20-minute game takes you several hours sometimes. Ooh. Eh. What are some other good short games? Like, I always hear that Little Mermaid's actually pretty short. And I played it for a little bit, and it didn't seem that hard, but it definitely had a little challenge in it, I thought. And really, I only spent, you know, maybe 10 minutes playing it. I just forgot there's no ducking in this game. Like, I'm trying to duck sometimes. It's, that doesn't work. So here's another boss. I mean, guess what you do? Yeah. Good. Alright, you bastard. There we go. You just keep him back and you hit him. That's every boss fight you're gonna see. My bad, what the fuck was I even talking about originally? I think I was talking about collecting. So yeah, what I do is I basically I'll buy any set that looks like it's a value. Like a monetary value. And the way I originally started it, because like 8 years ago, I started out with maybe a collection of like my old Super Nintendo and 12-ish games, including like Earthbound, because that was actually my favorite game growing up. But yeah, I only had like 12 games for it, but I always loved the Super Nintendo. It was my favorite system growing up. I had my old 64, which I probably had, you know, 10 solid games for it. Like everything you'd want, your Marios. I mean, honestly, what else do you need on 64? Son of a bitch. There's a lot of good stuff. It's one of my favorite systems, but, you know, first party and rare basically had all the good games for it, so you're not missing a whole lot if you don't get the rest of the library. But yeah, I started out with like a handful of stuff. NES I didn't have. My childhood one I actually sold off to buy a Super Nintendo back in the day. Or a Sega Genesis. It was one or the other. But yeah, I basically sold it off. Oh, son of a bitch. Sold off to buy new shit, because, I mean, you had to back in the day. And I had to flood my old childhood house, so my Nintendo didn't work so good anymore. Like, my copy of... Fuck you, Cloud. My copy of Zelda was, like, busted up. Pretty shitty. Because I got that, like, used as a kid. You know, it was, like, the cheapest thrift store one I could find. Nothing. So yeah, I didn't have any NES anymore. I just had the pocket Super Nintendo 64 stuff. So what I started doing, and what actually prompted me to start collecting again, was my wife's boss, for some reason, knew that she liked video games. They were talking one day, whatever. And about when she was leaving her company, he actually gave her his old NES set, which is actually really good. It was basically the exact set I had, like, as a kid. And, you know, my wife likes video games, but she's not huge in the retro stuff. She likes more, like, PlayStation 4, that kind of stuff. Son of a... So, you know, what was gifted to her, I basically took. And what I did was like, okay, you know, that's sweet. I kind of want to get more NES stuff now. Like, I want to get the Mega Man games I used to have, or not own, but I used to rent Mega Man games all the time. So I wanted that stuff. And, you know, I'm older, I can afford it now. It's not a big deal. So what I did was I went out garage sailing, because, you know, back in the day, garage sailing was pretty great for finding retro stuff. And this was maybe 8 years ago, and it had already pretty much died down, as I found. Because I had a whole month where I was basically unemployed during a summer. I worked a lot of contracting gigs, so you get unemployed frequently when you do that. Which is fine. You get unemployment, you know, you sit around on your ass playing video games and shit, trying to find new jobs, but whatever. So it was right during garage sale season. Whoa, my ass kicked. So I went out, I probably went to several thousand houses, and I found a Sega Genesis set. That was pretty good for like 20 bucks. It was like 15 box games and a Sega Model 2. Can't go wrong with that. You know, the games weren't anything rare, but they were, you know, good games that you'd want. Streets of Rage 2, which at the time, that was only like 10 bucks. Now it's fucking blown up. But stuff like that. And then later that month, I was garage selling at a place probably like 45 minutes away from me, and it was a real shit day, like not finding anything. And yeah, as you see my cat right here, she's been all over me for some reason. But, yeah, so it's been a whole day in this little rinky-dink town, not finding a damn thing, just about to give up for the day. And I happened to go to a garage sale. This, older lady was hosting, and she had just started laying out a bunch of stuff. It was kind of late, like, in the like 12 in the afternoon, which if you garage sale a lot, usually 12 is like garbage time by then. It's all picked over. Anyone that was looking for anything probably found it. But I was walking along her garage sale, and I just happened to see that she had a player's guide for Earthbound. Which me, knowing that Earthbound was my favorite game growing up, that was like, oh shit, cha-ching, because at the time, 8 years ago, the stupid guide itself was like $80. Now I don't know what it is. I haven't looked in forever. So I had to ask her, like, hey, do you happen to have the game that goes with this? And she's like, oh no, but I think I got a bunch of stuff that like my son used to have. Down in a giant tote somewhere. I'll go pull that out for you. And she comes out like 5 minutes later with this giant tote just packed to the gills. And there's just a bunch of cords and controllers and shit on top of it. Nothing interesting. And I lift that up, and the first thing I see is like a top-loading Nintendo, like great condition. I didn't have one of those yet, so I'm like, okay. At the time, those were, I think they're a little cheaper now, but at the time, those were like $90 easy. I'm just like, oh Jesus, and I lift that up, and I noticed underneath was just a pile of games. Just a pile of games. I didn't even bother looking. Most of them were NES games. There's a couple 64. There's, like probably 30 NES games in there. I'm just like, okay. How much do you want for this? Oh shit. Oh, Jesus. This guy's kind of hard. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Ow. Ow. Claws. Ow. But so I got to asking this lady, I'm like, how much do you want for this? Because in reality, I didn't bring that much with me for garage selling. Oop, a little power up or something up here. I didn't have much with me. I had literally $38 left because I bought, just some minor shit during the day. And she's like, well, $38 is fine. I'm like, are you sure? Like, yeah, 38's fine. Okay. I can't tell you how fast I pieced out of that one. And my mom was with me at the time, and I'm just like, she's like, oh, did you get something good? I'm just like, you have no idea. No idea. When you just started collecting again, and you just get this giant tote for $38, and first thing you see is a top loader. And then there's, like, all the good NES staples, your Zeldas, a few Mega Man games, like 2, 3, and 6 were in there. And 6 is kind of harder to find. It's the third most expensive out of the original 6 trilogy, sex trilogy, whatever the fuck you call it. Hex trilogy? Is that it? But like all those good games, a bunch of other common ones. No, Earthbound was not in the box. I think he took that one. For some reason, her son took that and left like the rest of his shit, I guess, laying around. I'm not gonna fault the guy. There's some good 64 games in there, like Majora's Mask, and some other ones I didn't have. So at the time, I'm thinking like, well, how do I get rid of extras? I'm not like used to the situation. Ugh, sorry about that. My dog was tripping balls upstairs. Okay, start this back up. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, so I kind of get to brainstorm, like, how do you get rid of all these extra games? Do I just take it to, like, the local game stores and get rid of it? I'm thinking, like, the value that they give, usually not so good. And this is back when NES was pretty pricey at the time. I did my due diligence. I looked at eBay for everything, and it's like, I know I'm not going to get eBay prices, because if you think that's going to happen, you're kind of fucking delusional. For most stuff. Especially locally. I'm not a big, like, eBay seller. I think it's, like, super annoying to sell on there. So I tend to avoid that when I can. There we go. So I posted the things. You know, I posted stuff in Craigslist. Like, hey, pile of good NES games, you know. You know, see what I can get for it. I ended up getting like 150 for like the pile of just extras that I had left over. I'm like, you know, that's not bad. That, you know, nowadays you don't get as much. Like, the people that wanted to collect NES kind of already collected it, or they really only want like particular games like the Mario trilogy. But you know, at the time, getting like 150 bucks just off of extras is pretty cool. So what I ended up doing was I started basically buying any NES sets that had games that I didn't have yet. Like literally any games I didn't have. And what I did was I basically took the games that I didn't have from the sets that I bought, and then I just resell the set for the exact same amount that I bought it for. So like, oh, mother. So you're not talking about like these huge seller margins or anything crazy like that. Oh, you bastard. I was trying to get a power up. Ooh, that was really bad. Ugh. So yeah, I wasn't like making a whole lot. What I was basically just doing was collecting for free. You buy stuff you don't have, you sell the stuff you don't need, and you don't really earn any on top of it. So I did that for quite a while, and honestly, for a long time, I just collected for completely free. It was pretty cool. And then, of course, you know, you end up with so much stuff that, like, nowadays, when I buy sets, I usually don't get any extras. Whoa. Or no, I should say I don't get any extras. I don't get any new stuff that, like, I don't have. Like, now, I just get, like, a bunch of shit that I already have. And, you know, I don't like just buying just to resell. But in this market, I mean, you don't always have a good choice. Like, I want to keep collecting. I've narrowed down my collections to certain systems that I'm nostalgic for. You know, I see a lot of people kind of going down the weird road of collecting anything and everything that's old. And to me, like, there's no fun in that. You know, like, for example, I never grew up with Atari. At all. Like, Atari doesn't interest me. I've played Atari, like, a few times in my life. So I don't collect Atari. Do I have Atari stuff? Yeah. And you know why? Because I've gotten it for free. So, like, when I'm collecting NES, I've actually had several people just throw in their old Ataris and piles of games with it. So just like, just get rid of this shit, you know? I don't want it anymore, it's taking up space. Okay, you know, I'll take your Atari, I guess. Yeah, I've told people actively that I didn't want it, and a lot of people just don't give a fuck. They're giving it to you regardless. You just gotta take it. But yeah, I see some people collecting, like, Tiger Electronic games. And I'm like, okay, you know, if you're actually into Tiger Electronic games, more power to you. But let's be realistic here. Let's be really realistic. Why the fuck are you collecting Tiger Electronic games? Like, you know you're never gonna play Tiger Electronic games. Like, I collect Virtual Boy, and some people ask me, like, why the fuck do you have a Virtual Boy? It's because, like, when my parents used to drop me off at, like, Toys R Us for, like, an hour, and then actually go shopping. I can't tell you how much Virtual Boy I've actually played as a kid. Like, it was a lot. You know, it was until my neck basically felt like it was gonna snap. That's how much Virtual Boy I played. So, like, I'm nostalgic for it, and you know what? Like, Virtual Boy actually has some okay games. Like, it's not all trash. It's really not. A lot of it's garbage, and the Virtual Boy itself sucks balls. But there's actually good games, like Wario Land. Really good. There's nothing wrong with that game at all. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Blub. Sorry, I'm gonna concentrate for 5 seconds here. There we go. So yeah, but like people collecting Tiger Electronics, like I've known collectors that will literally buy anything they don't have, anything, like anything retro. At some point, you just have to narrow it down, because like honestly, you know, none of the collectors I've met have been like the big money people, like, you know, have $100,000 just sitting around just to like shit on retro games. Most of them, you know, have an okay job and just kind of scrape by and do what they can, and own a decent house, stuff like that. But it's like you can't be spending money on like Tiger Electronic trash, like shovelware Wii games. Why are you collecting those? Unless you're going for a complete Wii set, which, again, you have to be out of your fucking mind in order to like want a complete Wii set. It's I don't want to say it's all garbage, but I mean you could probably count. There's probably like 50 good Wii games, and the rest is like shovelware trash. Just reality. I mean, if somebody on here can list out 50 good Wii games, I'm all for hearing it. And you know, maybe if you pool together like all the 1,200 something games, or 2,000, whatever the fuck it is, there's like a ton of them. You know, you could probably find 50, but like, are they good for the Wii, or are they good for the era? You know, that's what I want to know. It's just like, you know, at some point, like PlayStation 2, there are so many PlayStation 2 games. So many PS1 games, and a lot of them like suck balls. I don't know why I'm trying to get up there, it's a waste of time. You know, so that's one thing I had to limit myself. I do have some stuff, like some worthless shit that I don't know why I have. Like, I have a Magnavox Odyssey 2 in box. Because one lady just gave me such a deal when I was already picking up like a Sega bundle that it was hard to say no. But in hindsight, you know, I have no nostalgia whatsoever for Odyssey. Way before my time. Like, I was born 10 years after Odyssey probably even came out. Maybe even, you know, more. I don't even remember. I was born in the late 80s. But, like, that's the only system that I have that's like, why the fuck do I still have this? And it's just because I have the box, and it looks kind of neat on a shelf. However, you know, if I were to sell something, basically as soon as I have something that I give a shit about that fills that same space, I'm selling that Odyssey in a heartbeat. Like, I'm getting rid of it. It's a pile of shit. You know, my Ataris, basically as soon as I feel like going through them and actually testing them, I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna sell all my Atari games. I have probably 60 of them, and none of them are duplicates. You know, I might play them once. You know, maybe I'll record them on here just for the hell of it. But, you know, I was just playing Atari over at my buddy's house. He likes it a little bit more than I do, and it's just like, you know, I can play those games for like 5 minutes, and then I like don't want to see them ever again. It's just because it's not the era I grew up in. I have no appreciation for Atari. I don't know. Like, there's only so much a block. You know, I don't have the imagination for it, I think. The people that grew up with it, I mean, that was what they had, so that's what they enjoyed. I had Nintendo. You know, I grew up with Zelda. You go from Zelda, then you play Combat, and it's like, you know, for me, it's easy to see. I can't go back. Jesus, levels along. There we go. So yeah, like, if we're talking about collecting, that's one thing, one piece of advice I'll give to people is try to collect for free if you can. And what I mean by that is, you know, find the systems that you want to collect for and try to find deals, and if you get extras and spares, that's fine. Fuck. I did not jump far enough. There's a misclick. But find the stuff that you're gonna play, and that you're... Whoa, shit. It's a two-hitter. Yeah, find the stuff you want to play, and then collect for it. And then figure out if you want to go for complete sets, or if you just want really the games that you know you're going to play. Like on NES, for example, there's probably 100 games that I really like for it. And there's probably another like 100 games that I'm cool with, that I enjoy in some way, shape, or fashion. But I also have 500 games. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, like, I love all those 500 games. I mean, I own Color a Dinosaur. You know, I own Wayne's World. I own a lot of those trash expensive games. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you to not collect bad games. I'm just saying, be realistic. You know, if you're not looking for a complete set, don't buy Color Dinosaur. This is a leap of faith. And it was the worst leap of faith. God damn it. No, that wasn't good. So that's the only hard part about this game. This is the random leap of faith you kind of have to do sometimes. It's possible I could have got it on that lower platform. But yeah, I mean, not everyone has to have like the Angry Video Game Nerd collection. You don't need your Action 52s and that kind of stuff. If you're not gonna play it and you're not gonna enjoy it, don't buy it. You know. Me, I actually play some of the shitty games I have. Like, I've actually played Dragon's Lair quite a bit. You know, like shit like that. I actually enjoy. I do enjoy a good bad game. But if you're not the type of person that enjoys bad games, then, you know, you can probably collect 30 games and be perfectly happy. Whoa. There we go. I don't know if that was like Evil Felix, something. But hey, don't be afraid to pick up systems that you're like on the fence about. Like for me, for example, I bought an Atari Jaguar. I've always wanted a Jaguar since I was a kid. Like again, that goes back to me being like a Toys R Us kid. I'd go in there and they'd have all these demos set up, but they'd have the Jaguar, the Saturn. What the hell else was out? Was that? It never had a Neo Geo that I saw, but they had like the Virtual Boy, and then they got in like the 64 a little bit later. They had some, oh shit, they had like some 32X stuff here and there, you know, stuff like that. Oh. Jesus. Yeah, good old NES ice level. Everyone loves that. Like, is this guy gonna shoot at me or around me? Motherfucker. Yeah, when I actually played this not too long ago, I think I had one death, and that was actually on this level. Son of a bitch. It has your, like, you know, normal great ice level controls. And it controls like ass. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. There we go. There we go. Alright. God damn it. Sometimes you can get those. But yeah, back on my story, and I know I'm just kind of rambling on, but motherfucker. I just hate this one level, I swear to God. This is one stupid level. It's so slippery. Reminds me of Yonoid. If you've never played Yonoid, just get to the second level and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I collect like bad systems, Jaguar being one of them, just because I grew up always wanting a Jaguar, and not really because I like wanted to play all the games for them. Like I saw Alien vs Predator in a magazine, and I'm like, that looks fucking sweet. You know, being a fan of Wolfenstein as a kid, I always wanted to play Alien vs Predator. So I finally found a Jaguar for sale locally. Just another guy just getting out of it, you know. That's where you get a lot of your stuff from, is people just getting out of the hobby. Or having a kid or something, can't afford all of it. So yeah, I picked up a Jaguar with some games. And then, lo and behold, a week later, but this is after not seeing a Jaguar for fucking like, literally 8 years of searching for one locally. I could just buy one on eBay, what's the fun in that? So after like 6 years of not finding one, I find 2 in 2 weeks. One of them's complete in box. Ah, bitch. One of them's complete in box, and the other is like, what would I pay? $80 for a Jaguar, 2 controllers, and like 4 games. Like, who's gonna say no to that? Including the one that I wanted to play as a kid, Alien vs Predator. So I was elated, trust me. However, as some of you might realize, you know, I don't know how many people on this channel have actually played Atari Jaguar, but the system's worse, I think, than reviews say it is. Like, you look at it and, like, if you watch the AVGN review of it, it's actually kind of nice compared to, like, how bad the system actually is. Like, Alien vs Predator is, like, 5 frames per second of just nonsense. Like, it is a fucking ugly game. The music's not good. Actually, there's, like, barely any music in any Jaguar game. And I wish I was kidding, but, like, I'm really not. There's barely any music on the system. There's a couple okay games. Like, I have Raiden, which is fun. You know, it's Raiden, you know. But, like, Kasumi Ninja, for example, is a fucking horrible game. Like, it's way worse than anyone says it is. And I'm not just kidding, you know, it's fucking bad. Alien vs Predator is, like, trash. There's so many empty... I've never seen so many empty rooms in a game before, but, like, that game is literally just made of empty rooms. I don't know if it's supposed to be a puzzle game or if it's just lazy design. A little bit of both. I don't know, but that game fucking sucks. But that's the one, like, older system other than Virtual Boy that was kind of, like, shitty back in the day that I really wanted to own. Like, I've had chances to buy a 3DO. I never gave a shit about owning a 3DO, so I've never bought one. You know, hindsight, maybe I could, or maybe I should have, because the deals are actually pretty good, but, you know. Again, if you don't care about a system, like, I don't want to buy more games for more systems that I already collect for. Like, I collect for NES, Super Nintendo, Sega, Game Boy, I guess Virtual Boy, although, you know, there's... Like, you'll never find games locally for Virtual Boy, so I kind of have, like, my 7 games or whatever for it. And I'm always on the lookout for more, but, you know, if I don't get more, I don't get more. But yeah, those are the main systems I collect for. I collect a little bit of PS1, a little bit of PS2, but I basically have any game that I give a shit about for them. I'm not going for a complete collection for the PlayStation genre. It's, like, impossible. You know, what's the point of trying? What you see behind me is all I have for PS1, and, like, I have a little CD booklet of the loose games, you know, because everyone always loses the boxes for them. Holy shit, Chad, you're really into this. So here's, like, the same boss, because good game design. You know, you see it's very hard. Ow. Ow. She does this thing where she, like, bites my ear and purrs into it. If you've ever been to a strip club, it's like the stereotypical stripper thing. I guess they got it for my stupid cat. I have no idea. Ow. My cat doesn't know how to not use her claws either, so she just claws the hell out of you the whole time. It says, game doesn't have a story. I think you're just rescuing your girlfriend or wife or whoever it is. Who's a cat? Who's a cat? So yeah, what I like to do... Ow! Okay, okay, ow. Ow! She's digging in. But yeah, what I like to do is basically, every year around this time, maybe even a little bit later, is start selling off all my extra stuff. And if I have too much extra stuff of the same thing, like, I'll start selling a lot earlier. But I like trying to get rid of it around this time, because in a few months, well, maybe it's like 5 months from now, but the Midwest Gaming Expo is coming up fairly soon. And that's really the only gaming expo we have up here in this area, unless there's some in Chicago that I'm unaware of. But getting down to Chicago is such a bitch that I don't like feel like going down there. But Milwaukee is pretty easy to get to for me, so I like to hoard stuff, or hoard some cash for that event, because I usually go there with my buddy and we'll just, you know, we'll use up all of our cash, all of our free cash essentially, and just, oh cat, you're making this so fun. And that's when I'll go like buy some rare games that I've been wanting for a while. So like last year I finally picked up Bubble Bobble 2, which I've wanted forever. I picked up Ogre Battle on Super Nintendo, which I've wanted for a very long time. Ninja Warriors last year. And the year before that I got like copies of Kirby 3 that I've, you know, just stuff I've been wanting forever that you just don't find locally. And you usually get better deals than you would on eBay at the Gaming Expo, so I like going there and spending some cash. You can definitely haggle. People don't realize that. Like, you can go to these events and haggle with the vendors. Like, they're not firm on the prices, you know. So like, last year I actually got a really good deal on Bubble Bobble 2. And partially just because like the retro trend is, ow, ooh, you are like getting clawy over here. Yeah, she's like in my pants. So the trend is like getting cheaper for retro stuff. So it's a really good time to buy, you know, if you're just trying to finish up a set, or even if you're starting right now. Like, there's hardly been a better time to buy NES commons, Super Nintendo commons, are as cheap as they've ever been at the moment. You know, like a copy of Mario World right now, like barely over 10 bucks on eBay. You know, like stuff like the Mario franchise. I mean, go to GameStop during their buy two get one free sale. Holy shit! You know, spend $100 there, you get basically every game you'd want for a regular Nintendo. You get all the Mario games. Zelda's like, you know, 13 bucks. Zelda 2's like 10. There's never been a better time. So if you're looking to start collecting, or if you're looking to get some of those, you know, fairly common games that you've been holding off for a while, you know, go spend. You know, if you don't like eBay, now is actually the best time to buy on eBay. I mean, there's some markets that are trending in the more expensive state right now. Like, I would say Sega has actually never been more expensive, but NES never been cheap. Well, NES has been cheaper, like before the retro shit started. But as far as like in the last 7 years, never been cheaper. So, good time to buy. You know, for Super Nintendo, like even Mario All-Stars is like barely a $15 game right now. And you might be saying, you know, hey, you're retarded because I went down to my local game store and it's still 25 bucks. Look on eBay. You know, don't give preferential treatment to game stores that have their shit price hiked. Like, I understand that they have to make rent and all that shit and they have employees. But I mean, realistically, the retro market... Oh yeah, by the way, this is a giant block that just says Felix in the middle of the game for some reason. Yeah. But yeah, like, you don't have to give game stores money just because they're open. Like, I've seen plenty of fucking bad game stores, and we have a few in town still. I'm not giving them my money. Like, I'll go there every now and then, and I'll look just to see if they have any deals. You know, and sometimes you can actually find some pretty good stuff. Oh, you bastard. Sometimes you can find good stuff, but I mean, most of the times they have their shit overpriced. Like, I have 3 game stores in town. 2 of them are owned by the same company, so they're hit and miss. I mean, they sell copies of Zelda 1 for, I'm not kidding, $40. The original Punch-Out they want $40. Contra I've seen for $60 there. They have 2 copies, and this might tip off where it is. They have 2 copies of Mega Man Soccer that they've had for the last 3-4 years in the same case, in the same area, for $99 or $90. I think it's 90. Is it 99? Something like fucking insane. I mean, it's like a $40 game and they want $100 for it. They've been sitting there forever, and like they won't go back and reprice their stuff. It'll just sit there until it's eventually worth $99. I mean, they'll probably be well out of business by the time that's fact. So, and then I have one game store that I've actually this guy's been in business for fucking ever. And I'll just give away the name. It's Video Game Exchange in Madison, and they you might have heard about them from some controversy. Oh shit! Oh, you bastard. Some controversy a little while ago. Like, it was all over Reddit. Pat the NES Punk or whatever did a little podcast about them, and they were basically going to, like, thrift store sales that had, like, a yearly game sale thing, and they were just hoarding all the games and shit. I mean, but honestly, that place has been in business since I was a kid. Oh, the stage sucks. Since I was a kid, and this guy has always been cool. He's always easy to talk to, easy to chat with. He's not a collector. He doesn't collect anything. He sells everything that comes into the shop. He used to collect, I think, TurboGrafx back in the day, and what he told me once is you can either own a shop or you can collect video games, but you can't afford to do both. You know? That's just the reality of the situation now. Like, back in the day, he said, you know, people would come in with shit like Kid Clown or whatever all the time, and, you know, he didn't think twice of it. He sold, like, box copies of that game for $50. But anyway, so they got into some internet turmoil back during the sale, and what people don't report on is, so I went to that sale, you know, knowing full well, like, what it was going to be about. Whoa, shit. And what they don't report on is, I need that, is the fact that there was over 100 people, son of a bitch, 100 people in that line, all trying to do the same thing. Like, all of them had totes with them. All of them, like, had a mad rush as soon as those doors opened to grab whatever the fuck they could get their hands on. So he wasn't the only one. He just happened to be the first in the line. You know, and everyone gets on his case. You know, his whole business got flooded with Yelp reviews and shit back when it happened. And, you know, the internet tried to destroy the business or whatever. But it's like, you know, he was one of 100 people trying to do the same thing. And honestly, I'm a collector like that. I'm a kind of a rabid collector. Son of a bitch. Rabid collector. I would have done the same thing. Now, granted, I have a, you know, normal 8-to-5 job. I did it. I went there during the first year, and it was a fucking mad rush. I haven't been back since. The deals aren't even that good, so, like, nowadays the employees pick through all the shit well before you ever see it, so there's absolutely no point. But to my original point, you know, that's the one, like, pretty good shop in town. He'll haggle with you a little bit. He'll add in games if you're buying systems. If you're buying multiple games, you know, he'll haggle on prices a little bit with you. He offers pretty good trade-in. You know, he's the only place that I've actually offered games to trade in for, and systems. So, like, if I have extra Mono 1 Sega systems that I can't get rid of, I'll just take it to him. I'll get some money for him. If he, like, gets in a rare game, I mean, like, he basically throws them according to price charting, basically, but they always have, like, a 10% cash discount, so you're paying less. It's actually super nice. So if you're collecting the good rare shit and he gets it in, I mean, chances are you're gonna get a good deal on it. So, you know, that's the kind of store that you need to support. These fucking stores that are selling your Zelda 1s and shit for $40, I mean, just because they're a local video game store doesn't mean you have to support them, and you really shouldn't. I mean, you're spending your hard-earned money, you should be able to get a deal. You don't have to rip yourself off because some asshat opened a store and try to get in on the retro market. Which is unfortunately what has happened in the recent years. Nowadays, not so much, and I would never recommend to anyone that they actually open a retro game store, because, I mean, the reality is there's not a whole lot of money in it anymore. You have to really work to make money. And a normal 9 to 5 working 20 bucks an hour, you're gonna make more than a game store person, usually, in a regular market. So yeah, more than this game, I mean, I'm basically at the end of it. What I will say, in these levels, the controls are kind of goofy. So when you're walking, like, on this portion, on one of these down slopes, it's actually really hard to jump. I'm gonna get hit there. So like right here, it's hard to jump. It's hard to make like the precision jumps and stuff in this level. Especially over the ledges like this is kind of hard. You kind of have to jump preemptively. Like this, like, so he has this walk animation. As you see, like, he kind of slides down the stairs a little bit, and that kind of like interrupts your jump. It's like this jump is going to be annoying. You hear me mashing the A button, I'm not moving. You know, like, one of the more annoying parts of the game, and it's just like, I know they meant it to be hard, but I don't know why they did it this way. Alright, I passed that one. So yeah, in a game that's relatively easy, this is the one time I'd say it's somewhat difficult. You have to kind of just take your time. Here's the goal. See if I can get a maxed out guy. Remember the end boss not being too difficult at all? See if he still is, because I'm only on the second power up. I think I'm in the last world. Okay, there's still quite a little bit, I think, before I get to him. Eh. So yeah, this, just take your time. There's a bat up there, it's kind of hard to see. There we go. Just gotta work my way through some power-ups. I'm gonna try to max out. Played these last couple stages safe, because, oh yeah, shit. So that guy, I don't even want to fuck with him. So he actually has like a fast attack, and I mean, I'm at no danger whatsoever of like game overing. As you see during a normal playthrough, hey look, I have 15 lives. I haven't been doing anything, and I haven't even been like trying to collect like much at all throughout the stages. I've just been kind of doing a normal gameplay. Oop. It's the only bad thing about the tank. It's kind of hard to... There we go. Hey, there we go. So yeah, this, like, it looks probably kind of hard, sort of. It's really not. Okay, so here's the end boss? No. Okay, I think it is the end boss, but you can kind of do that stuff. Check this out, check this out. The hardest boss battle in the history of NES. Oh, he didn't do it. Okay. My bad. I have to slightly move. Last time I did a playthrough, I didn't even have to move. I just killed him with the tank without him doing anything. It was like laughable. As you see, the hardest boss in the history of NES. And play fucking Castlevania 1 and then play Felix the Cat. Night and day, I tell you. I mean, that's the game. There will be a little cutscene soon. I just finally started using my Twitter again. I'm not used to that shit. So, what you can do if you want to do any Q&As about collecting or just like retro games in general, like what I like to play or what I like to do, I built this brand new shelf behind me. It's pretty cool. Yeah, if you want to do any Q&A stuff during one of these, feel free to let me know. I might try to live stream soon, but I think my internet connection here is kind of like too shitty for it. So I'll try it again, see how it goes. I wouldn't anticipate me doing that too much. Otherwise, I'm going to try to do these every now and then. So if you like it, blah, 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 subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Play Felix the Cat. It's okay. If I were to review it, I'd give it like a solid 3 stars. It's the most plain, basic, easy, but fairly enjoyable platformer on the system. If you're looking for a game to beat, it's a good game to beat. If you're looking to buy it, it's kind of expensive, so it's up to you if you want it. It's okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. See ya.